Good morning, everyone. We're moving into January and time is marching on. And this year is going to be our best year ever because we have so many bright possibilities as we start a new company. And what a thrill to be part of something that you can just know that it's going to be really big. But I'd like to talk about just this idea that you have a chance to be a big influence, to be a leader in this, and some of the ideas that we have helping put together something is to attract good people. We need to be good people. And what do we want to have here? One of my favorite quotes that just really kind of hits you is from the famous business guru Peter Drucker. And he says that culture eats strategy for breakfast. That's wow. So that means, I guess, culture is more important than strategy. And what does that mean? And I decided to just kind of look that up and read a little bit about it. And I've got something here I'd like to share with that. And so culture eats strategy for breakfast. So that no matter how strong your strategic plan is, its efficacy will be held back by members of your team if they don't share your proper culture. If your people aren't passionate about your company's vision, they won't be enthusiastic about executing the plan. And then your strategy really has no chance at all. And so here we go. Company culture happens whether you work on it or not. It represents the core of the company, and most of it is created by the business founders, sometimes unknowingly. The actions of the founders and the executives speak louder than their words in the process of culture creation. And over all the years I've done this, a lot of years, sometimes we've just said, well, you know what? Hey, if they'll just ship the product on time and pay the checks and they don't bounce, we'll do everything else. And in a lot of ways, that's what it is, because we're the ones that are interfacing with the customers, with new people, building the team. And so much of that is we're creating that culture too. But somebody at the beginning has to start it all. And one of my very favorite thoughts about this, and I highly recommend you get a hold of it. There's something called the Lost Interview, I guess because it was lost for a long time. And it's an interview with Steve Jobs. And it's right kind of when Apple went up like crazy and then just fell on its face. And it was really questionable if it was going to make it or not. And Steve had been kicked out of his own company and he was coming back. And here's where that interview took place. And it was just such brilliant reflections. But one of the things I really like about Apple is the story. He was a genius in his 20s. He had this big business coming along, but didn't really have a lot of leadership stuff. He was a computer genius and a real innovator, and people really loved what he was doing with computers. They made it a lot more friendly for people rather than learning programs and stuff. It was more intuitive. And so when he was 26 years old, he thought, well, to make this thing go, I need a CEO. And so he went around shopping, and there's this famous story of finding John Scully, who he loved. And at that time, he was the CEO of Pepsi, making big bucks and happy where he was. But he agreed to meet with Steve Jobs, this young 26-year-old, and essentially he wasn't interested. And then Steve said these famous words. He says, well, do you want to just spend the rest of your life making sugar water? Or do you want to come with me and change the world? And he decided to join. That was just the coolest thought right there. It is vision. And they together created a wonderful culture. And then it kind of went the wrong way. And then at that point, Steve became a CEO, a person that made things happen, a great, powerful, passionate leader who created this wonderful Apple culture that just permeates. It moves out into the customers where people will stand in line. They'll get sleeping bags before and stay in the front of the store before the phone comes out. I'm not that much of a person on that phone, but I do like my phone enough to go get it after a couple of weeks or whatever. But I just think, wow, what a neat story. And if we look in terms of just about anything out there, with the idea that about 80% of the people really don't like their job. So many people have no satisfaction. They don't have a vision. And it's just so fun to not it really maybe come to the point of, do you really want to stay and spend the rest of your life at Joe's machine shop? Or do you want to come with us and create a new company and change the world? But in a way, mentally think about that. And maybe it might be appropriate for some people. I was that way when I saw this, that I thought this is a chance to serve. Now, one of my other favorite stories that I just really love is Alan Mulally. And Valerie and I, in fact, well, I'll just tell you, we went and saw him. We like Dave Ramsey, and we listened to his podcasts, and we got his books and stuff like that. And there was an opportunity to go to Entre Leadership, which is a word he made up. Leadership, entrepreneur, putting the two together, Entre Leadership. And we went to this summit. And one of the reasons we went was Alan Mulally was going to be speaking. And I would say arguably he is the number one turnaround guy in American history. It's such a wonderful story. And it's also interesting how he started. He was an engineer when he began working at Boeing. And his first opportunity of leadership was to supervise one other employee who, after a couple of months under his supervision, came to him and says, "You're a nice guy, but you're driving me nuts." And so he left. And so that was the beginning. Well, over the years, he became the CEO and actually turned Boeing around. And Boeing was very, very profitable, and he was living the life, really happy, had a great team he was with there, well beloved, and just a really neat guy. And then one night he got a phone call, and it was from Bill Ford, chairman of Ford Motor Company. Now, at that time in the early 2000s, all of the big three, they were all on the rocks, and it was dire. I can't remember the numbers, but it was something crazy, like the Ford was bleeding, going backwards, like hundreds of millions of dollars a year, just no hope at all. And they had no credit. Nobody would loan them money. The only thought, in fact, all three, the other two actually went to get government loans. And right at that time, Bill Ford called and he said, "Would you come and be the CEO of Ford Motor Company? We need you." And he just kind of thought about it and prayed about it and discussed it with his family, and just thinking, wow, do we want to move to Michigan? And it's pretty nice over here in the great Northwest, and got a cushy job and all this stuff. And the more he thought about it, he just kind of felt this calling to serve. And he talked about just his love for America. And he thought Boeing, Ford, these big companies, he called them the democracy of industry, or the industry of democracy, that these were vital industries to keep America strong. And so he agreed to do that. And he went back there, and it just changed everything almost overnight. In fact, he was the one that went to the banks to get some loans, and just based on who he was a little bit, and his confidence and everything, it turned it all around. But I got to share something with you. I pulled this up before I started, and this is just really cool. Now, if I can find it. Oh, shoot, it's underneath here. Is it? Oh, that Zoom thing on the top. Let's see if I can. Okay, there we go. So it was hiding. Oh, you silly thing. Okay, when we were there, he showed this on the screen, and this was just a little card. And he passed that out to everybody there, and it's just the coolest thing. This is the strategy, and just so simple. And in fact, to understand it, you have to have it simple. And fundamentally, if you look at that, this is it's all about people. And I love that idea that business is people, and understanding people and appreciating them. And so this is how we turned it around. Put people first, love them up. Everyone's included. Have just a compelling vision, comprehensive strategy, relentless implementation. Implementation, yeah, that's how you say it. Clear performance goals, but here it is. One plan. Everyone knows the plan. Wow, everyone has the same plan. These are just the neatest thoughts. Propose the plan, make it positive, have the right attitude, respect, listen, appreciate each other, be strong, emotional resilience, trust, have fun, enjoy the journey and each other. Isn't that cool? That's just so awesome. Well, that was his card. And I got to tell you a story. As you know, Ford's an international company, and he was making some deals with, he flew over to Japan, meeting a CEO of another company, and he was kind of feeling each other. You know, a lot of it's building rapport and trust, and they didn't know each other at all. And when Alan handed this card to that other guy, he just lit up, and he said, "What's that?" And Alan said, "That's my signature. If you see the little airplane there." And when I saw that, it just made me smile, because I found something that all the prominent Japanese people, pretty much, you have some kind of written cartoon or signature that is who you are. And so that CEO shared his little caricature or signature. And I thought that was really neat. And all of a sudden the lights came on, because we were at this company, and it was founded in Japan, and it was really big. And there's this man, Isamu Masuda, who just this wonderful heart. And he was a great guy. And at this big convention, they had these sake boxes, a wood box. That's how you traditionally drink that. And there was just a whole bunch of them, but people were going up and he was signing them. And I always have this on my desk. It's a good pen holder, but if you look at this, it's kind of, well, let me take this off here. Stop share. Okay, this is kind of cool. It's a neat souvenir. But we'd all be in line, and Masuda would sign it, and that's his. Isn't that cool? So that was always the same thing, and he just kind of draw that out real quick, and that was his signature. So I just thought I'd share that with you. Kind of a fun thing for a lot of us that might put some warm fuzzies in our hearts. But I just think, wow, here was a guy that, in just the course of just a few years, everything changed the Ford Motor Company. I just, isn't that a cool story? And you meet him, and we went there and met several other really amazing people, and it was all about leadership. And I just got to say something. Going to that event, we were changed. Hanging around positive, high caliber people like that, rubbed off, and it was amazing. Now the other thing I think is kind of amazing is we kind of thought about, do we really want to go? Because the tickets were $2,700 plus flights and lodging and all of those sort of things. And when we went, there were several thousand people there. It was packed, and everybody thought it was a good deal. And so I just got to do a contrast. So our culture is Neil, our CEO, just says, you know what? I don't want people to pay for these conferences, or maybe it's an unconference or something. But the thing that got me pretty excited was we had our first conference in October, kind of our launch, and we had quite a few people. It was wonderful, and it was free. All you had to do is register. Now here was the problem, though. A lot of those people registered and said they were going to come, and then they didn't show up. And Neil was all excited because he was going to have meals and do all this sort of thing. And it was a pretty high percentage. It was thousands of dollars of waste. And so he says, okay, I want to make the commitment to be free and not charge people, but we got to figure out a way to have people put some skin in the game. So instead of $2,700, It's going to be $99. And so that will help defray if you don't bother to show up. However, if you do show up, you're going to have a great time. But also that $99 that you paid, he'll give that back to you in points towards purchase of products or Avini t-shirts or whatever you want to do. And so that's really a neat deal where we can have a little bit of opportunity to be responsible and say what we're going to do and come. And yet it's a really good deal. And on top of that, there's some ways where you can actually earn extra money by kind of the contest is sponsoring people, which is kind of what our job is to find customers and build a team all around this backdrop of creating an amazing culture, a culture that along with a good strategy that's simple, that'll all fit on one card. We can do some amazing things like that. But just think about this opportunity and the idea of having just really quality people. I just think of some of the places I've been to. I remember Valerie and I in the early 80s found this really neat company, and it was a diet company, kind of like Herbalife, but other, and it was just, that was the thing. We Valerie's mom and dad actually signed up with us, and that if you knew them, you would think, wow, that's really something. We just took it off, and in fact, the owner of the company came up to our town and did a meeting, and I felt a little funny about that. And then a couple of months later, some other corporate people came up, and I remember just out in the parking lot after the meeting, and a lot of us are just kind of gathered thinking, wow, I felt kind of like slimy and had to go take a shower. And so instead of motivating these, we all went home and quit. But this company is just so, you can just feel the goodness and the pristineness of who we're attracting, and we want to keep it that way. And so just really try to do good. When you're thinking of Avini, just always do the right thing. And our simple, if you look at what our business plan is and all of that, it's just really simple. It just kind of what I was mentioning that we would say earlier in other companies was, if they'll just make the product and make it on time and be good product and ship it, and we get it and they pay us and the checks don't bounce, we're good. Well, eventually, what it is all about is that. But then there really is good hearts, and you can just feel it. Neil, Rick, Doug, not a big corporation. It never will be staffed with a whole bunch of people, but it's just people that really care about getting this product out to people. It's not an idea of having some palatial corporate office or just enriching themselves, but that will come if you put people first in these products. And so we're really not worried, but I think most of us are really turned on by the spiritual compensation, just the feelings that you make of making a difference. That kind of income is unparalleled. And then plus building. Vince Lombardi says it's more fun to create than to maintain. And I think if you really analyze that, well, the only way we can really be happy, that part of happiness is the process of accomplishment. That's what success is. It's the, just a worthy ideal and a progress towards that, just the continuous progress. It's not necessarily a destination as much as just continually moving toward that. And here's something that will never end, because all you have to do is have another meeting, meet somebody else, and you get that thrill, that emotional income of helping someone else. And then this idea of you kind of think, we're talking about leadership and influence and doing good, and you kind of look around and I just think, wow, you could get discouraged with just the dearth of good leaders. Where are the leaders? But if you look in little pockets where you can just actively kind of create inside this little a sanctuary of goodness, that's what gets me excited. And yet, on the other hand, of just this battle going on out there, I'm thrilled that if we can just keep people healthy, let alone keep them out of hospitals, I think that's just a big contribution that we can make to strengthen our community and our country and the world, is just keep people healthy. I'm thankful for our healthcare system, which really is a misnomer. It's really a sick care system. If it's not set up to make you healthy or keep you healthy, but it's wonderful if you get hit by a car or have pneumonia, or if you've had an appendicitis or things like that. It's just a miracle. But all of the stuff that's hitting people, the big expenses are chronic illnesses, and they're just not set up for that. It's mostly drugs with side effects that symptomatically treat you, and effectively, if you have a chronic problem and just use standard of care, so often it's like the doctor saying, follow me and you're never going to get better, and you're going to take these pills for the rest of your life. And there's got to be a better way, and I believe we have that. And of course, the best way to treat a problem is never get it in the first place. And I've always been fascinated in some of the calls with Rick Deitch about the miracles, and you can see him emotionally affected, that's his pay as well. But I can always think about someone asked him, "You've been around this a long time. What's your favorite story?" And he paused a moment and he says, "The one that I've never heard." And I think that's really profound when you think about that. But that's the coolest thing about our products is they are a preventative. If you went and just kind of checked out, and the doctor says at the end, says, just based on your family history and kind of seeing physiologically what I'm seeing here, I believe in maybe 15 or 20 years, you might need to have a hip replacement. But as a preventative, let's go ahead and schedule that surgery right now. That just doesn't make any sense at all. And it's just so much of that is not equipped as a preventative. And maybe just to kind of close, I want to share something I think is so wonderful. And I transcribed that from that interview, the last interview with Steve Jobs. And he just kind of reflected at the end, the interview, they were asking him what he felt about Apple. And as he was getting back in, and the best was yet to come. But at that moment, this is what he said. I was lucky enough to spend my life in finding A players, getting the best people together. We were on a mission from God. It was the hardest and happiest moment in my life, an intense and cherished experience, creating a beautiful culture, creating products of spirit and enlightenment. Oh, that's poetry. That's such beautiful words. But we could take that exact quote and I can say that same thing already. And I haven't even been in this a year, but of course I've had a taste of it with us working together from a lot of us many years before, and somehow we're all coming here together. It just seems magical, like people called just this last few days. I'm reacquainting myself with old friends, and just so excited to kind of be in the harness together, and we're going to just go out and do a mighty work. We are going to change the world. This is sure better than sugar water. So let's do this, okay? And step up. Why not play big in this? We need you. And who knows, the next call that you make might not answer, might be no thank you, but it might be the next diamond in Avini. And so make lots of calls and make the numbers work for you. So I love you. Glad you're on our team, and let's go do this. This is going to be our best year ever. So thanks. It's fun to have something exciting to do with people that you love. And wow. Take care.